Welcome to Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, Aurelio Martinez. This weekend, and we already told you on last week's show that this weekend was going to be packed with action, starting with Thanksgiving Eve.
Oh, man.
Where we had in Hialeah, Florida, we had Arislan Lara.
And you ain't never lied.
well, we can start off with Arislan Lara, who defended his title with a third-round TKO win over Zan Zavik. And it was on Premier Boxing Channel on ESPN. I'm sorry, Premier Boxing Champions on ESPN. Radio, before I turn it over to you, let me just be brief with mine, okay? Arislan Lara, once again, almost a carbon copy of his countryman, Guillermo Rigondeaux. Boring. Zavik is shot. I just have to say that. The fight card, one of the bad things about it was they had tremendous driving rainstorm. It actually delayed the telecast for a half hour. Lara, as far as I'm concerned, he still has a lot to prove. Keeping his status. You remember when I was very high in the beginning and I said he was going to be a world champion.
Yeah.
He's accomplished that. I think now he's basically just treading in water.
But we talked about that. We talked about that before, Steve. You talked about Arislan Lara. But even we got deeper than that. We talked about the Cubans, and they're such good fighters. They're such excellent fighters that why, when they get into the pro rankings, they can't break the ice and get into that elite champion format to where they're making big pay-per-view money and things like that. Well, I'm still waiting for that Cuban to break that ice and to come, because they are outstanding boxers. And I don't know what it is, but I agree with you on the Arislan Lara fight. I think he's the same. He's the same. He's not changing. He's not getting to where he's exciting the fans. And because of that, it's going to be hard to make him a pay-per-view headliner.
Well, I think, if you get, he answered the question himself in a pre-fight interview because since, like I said, they had a half-hour delay, so they had to fill it with some things. But they had an interview with him where he said, that he comes from the Cuban boxers, where their attitude, their whole style is based on hit and not get hit. Okay,
it's boxing,
and that's boxing.
That's boxing.
Right?
Yeah.
But as far as we are concerned, as boxing fans as a whole.
We want to see action.
Floyd Mayweather got away with that for so long.
Yeah.
And he had his detractors because of that. Okay. Now, in this new age of things coming on, like you said, for excitement, and now with pay-per-view all costing you somewhere from $70 to $100, people want to see some action.
They do. Okay, well, who else? Well,
let's move on to what we had Saturday. We had on HBO, we had the Vladimir Klitschko. Got the 12-round unanimous decision suffered his loss to Tyson Fury in another fight that was boring. It was two big giant bears basically just not doing much. Tyson Fury won the bout, in my opinion, just by default because he did just a little bit more than Vladimir Klitschko.
Well, here we got a case where Vladimir was so used to being the bigger guy, where he would utilize his jab, and he'd do a very good job with his jab, stopping the smaller boxers from coming in. So the boxers would actually have to lunge in or take that chance that they didn't feel comfortable to try to get inside to make it a fight. Well, in this case, he was not the bigger fighter.
Exactly.
Okay. And he definitely didn't have the reach. One thing that really surprised me is that you take Tyson. He would not even turn his shoulder. He would just stand, and he had such a reach. His reach must have been a couple of inches greater than...
4 inches.
Was it? Okay.
Allegedly 4 inches.
So that's what happened with Klitschko. He just wasn't used to that, and why should he be? He just never had that reason. So he did ask for an immediate rematch, but unfortunately... It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. He's still fighting the big guy, so he has to change his whole way of fighting that he's been fighting for a decade or so.
I was just going to say, Radio, let me say this.
How does that happen?
For the people who say that Vladimir Klitschko is shot, I don't believe he's shot. That's the way he's fought, like you said, for the last 10 years, man, and he couldn't get away with it this time.
He had no reason to fight someone that's equal or taller than him, and now that's the case. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
There was no question, just ending, one more thing. There's no question that Vladimir showed that, like you said, the size difference was the issue that he had. No body shots from him. Here's a guy that's taller than him, has the reach. Where's the inside body?
Doesn't know how.
He doesn't know how.
Doesn't know how.
Because that's exactly right. Okay, let's go on to the other fight that we had that was very interesting up in Quebec, Canada, where we had James DeGale. He fought off Lucien Bute, get that unanimous decision win up the Center Videodrome in Quebec City, Canada on Showtime.
Yes.
Yes. I thought it was really a good fight. I thought from the very beginning of radio that Bute was out. DeGale was bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
He's more active. He's a little bit younger. 6 years ago, this would have been a great fight.
Yep.
Lucien Bute, he couldn't hurt DeGale. I see some chinks in DeGale's armor. Don't get me wrong. I see some chinks, but this was a good fight.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a good fight, and I like it. Lucian's not a cream puff. I mean, by any means. And this is just something that I just want to bring this out, and I want to tell all you guys out there, because I get the emails, I get the comments about Triple G not ever fighting anyone. Who's he fight? And when I mentioned DeGale, they say, "Wow, he's nobody." Man, give the guy some credit. This man just went and beat a very good fighter, Lucien Bute, to show that he's in the mix of things.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So congratulations to him. Lucien, I think, had a very, very good career. Whether he continues, I think he still can continue. But we'll just remain to see what happens.
Hey, one fight that we have to mention on that card that you didn't get to see, but it was Adrian Granados. For you,
well, hopefully they saw it.
I was gonna say, for those of you who didn't get a chance to see Adrian Granados knock out Amir Iman. Amir Iman was one of Don King's boys, and to see him knock him out in the 8th round, radio, for a lot of people that was a shock. For those of us who know a little bit about Granados, we know he's a tough out.
I'm gonna tell you what,
it was an eye opener.
Let me tell you what. They picked the wrong guy. Okay, they picked the wrong guy because Granados is one of the guys where
his record now is 8-8.
He knows he can win. Okay, and he knows he can compete with anybody they put in him. It was the wrong guy. All the publicity, all the pre-fight publicity was all about Amir and how he was this and he's supposed to be the next big thing. But what happened when he got hurt? He didn't know how to recuperate. He was lost. I mean, he went into that fight thinking it was an automatic win for him, and obviously it wasn't. So I'm gonna tip my hat off to Granados. I mean, Adrian's a good kid. And I look forward to see more action-packed. But I'll tell you what, they're going to be a little bit more careful about picking him anymore.
Well, I can tell you, like you said, man, if you go back and you look at his record, this kid fought the guys, his losses were all the guys that were undefeated or had one loss. He went in their backyard, and he was losing by split decision or majority decision.
Man, this guy went to Mexico and fought. And where's he from?
Illinois.
Illinois, yeah. He's from Illinois, born and raised there in that vicinity. I forget the town. It's not one of your major towns.
Yeah, but he's just Illinois. All you have to do is remember he's a guy that you have to keep your eye on.
But the guy, this is the kind of guy you want to watch on TV and you want to follow, man. I'll tell you, that's what boxing's all about.
The final fight card we had on Saturday was the one. It was a Premier Boxing channel on Premier Boxing Champions on NBC, where the main event had Jamal Charlo, and they were fighting in Dallas, Texas. He just completely overwhelmed Wilkie Campfort, stopping him in the 4th round by TKO.
I like the Charlo Brothers. I really do.
We both do.
I think these guys are the future of boxing, and I'm talking about the immediate future. I'm not talking we got to wait a few years. These guys are the real deal, and I look forward to seeing both him and his brother compete, because I'll tell you what, I just like their style. I like how they perform in the ring. They're smart in the ring, and they get the job done.
Yes. Also on that undercard, we had guys that we've been talking about a lot that you're going to hear a lot more about, and that's Errol Spence. He stopped Alejandro Barrera by a 5th round TKO.
Yep.
And then we had Erickson Lubin, where he stopped Alexis Camacho and KO, knockout in the 2nd round. Two guys that we know that they're being brought along nice and slow, which they should, increasing the level of competition, and so much not radio. And if you look at the records of the guys they're fighting, but they're experienced. And that's what they have to do.
And that's what you want. You want to bring them up and improve the competition level on the other side of the ring to them, and I think that's what they're doing, and that makes a great fighter.
You're right. Now you want to stick around for our next episode. We have a special guest in the studio, Manny Lopez, who's fighting this Thursday, December 3rd,
Exactly.
in Costa Mesa, California, on a Roy Engelbrecht Promotions fight card. We'll have him up in just a few seconds.
That's right. You want to watch this because every boxer out there that starts as a professional stays on the local scene, and they make the jump up into the national scene in hopes of becoming a prospect and then contender and then vie for a world title. And that's what Manuel Lopez is doing now. He's jumping out of this local scene into the national scene, and he's fighting an undefeated fighter. So we want to keep our eye out on that.
Good job.
Okay?
Manny Lowe up next.
Come back and see us.
In the meantime,
Until then, keep
keep
your
your hands up, baby.